Hi, I'm Andy Aladort, and welcome to In Deep with Stevie Ray Vaughan. In today's video lesson, I'm going to be talking about some of Stevie Ray Vaughan's signature guitar techniques and soloing patterns. We'll be using as a basis his song Couldn't Stand the Weather, which is transcribed in this issue. And I'll also be showing you a handful of the signature slow blues licks that Stevie Ray Vaughan plays, as the ones that are distinct to his style. Here we go. Stevie Ray Vaughan always would tune his guitar down 1/2 step. So the E strings were tuned to E flat. So let's tune up, down 1/2 step. 6th string, E, tuned down 1/2 step to E flat. 5th string A at A flat. 4th string D down 1/2 step to D flat. 3rd string G down 1/2 step to G flat. 2nd string B down 1/2 step to B flat. And the high E string down 1/2 step to E flat. All right, now let's take a look at Couldn't Stand the Weather, which is transcribed in this issue. Couldn't Stand the Weather is one of Stevie's original tunes, and it has a lot of great parts in it. It starts with a free section where Stevie's brother, Jimmy Vaughan, is holding chords, and Stevie plays some single note riffs over those chords. So let's start with that, and then I'll break it down. The first chord is B minor, and over the chord, Stevie's going to play licks based on B minor pentatonic, and he starts with, so 9th fret, 7th, 9th, 7th, that's a pull off, then you slide up 11, 10, and you pull back. So right here, 9th fret, 7th, 9th, and then you can either slide or hammer from 7th to 9th on the D string, or both as hammers, 7, 9, 8, 7, 5. Second chord is A7, and over that he plays licks based on the A blues scale. So you're going to go straight up. Just go straight up. And then you repeatedly hammer 5, 7 on the D string, and with a trill. Next chord is G7, and he starts right here. So you start on the D string 5th fret, so you do right away, 5th, 3rd, 5th on the G and bend, and then we're going to bend, release, pull off. And this is just like the other one, where you can use hammers, 3rd fret to 5th fret, or slides. 3, 5, 4, 3, 1. The rhythm guitar plays F sharp 7 down here. Stevie's going to play F sharp 7, sharp 9 up here using this voicing. which is a little unusual. You've got 8th fret of the D, 9th fret of the G, 10th fret of the B, 9th fret of the high E. And then he rakes up from high string to low. Puts a little tremolo arm on it. All right, now here's the main signature lick of the tune. All right, at this point, the song switches to the key of D, and it's sort of D7 played against its relative minor, B minor. But it's blues, and the first lick kind of goes between D minor pentatonic and then using the major third, which brings it back to the dominant tonality. So anyhow, we start with, so that's, so that's 4, 5, 3 with a slight bend, 5, 3, 5. And then that's where the major third comes in, F sharp. Just walking up chromatically. This is a real classic Stax R&B, 60s type of line, like a horn line or a bass line. 3, 4, 1. They do that twice. And then the third time, there's a longer pause. So there's a bar 6/4. So you have 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So they add 2 beats in the pause. So it's not just 3, 4, 1, as it had been. Now it's 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then back to the first one. And then Stevie just does these expressive, where you rake across, slide down, and then rake all the way across to the low E string. All right, now here's the signature strummy rhythm guitar part that Stevie plays, very Hendrixy part. All right, this really cool Jimi Hendrix style rhythm part starts with an F octave, 10th fret of the G, 13th fret of the high E, and it comes down on B2, 1. So, and then I'm barring across the top 3 frets, top 3 strings at the 10th fret. And then I'm going to do a bend. I'm barring across the 12th fret of the G and the B string at the 12th fret, and I bend a half step and release. And you can try to get a little bit of the high E string in there too if you want to. Either push up or pull down, either way. So we come down to 10th fret of the D, and then I'm going to slide up. The index finger is 1 fret lower then the middle finger on the D and the G string start 9, 10, slides up 1 fret to 10, 11, that's part of D7. And then right here, you bring in that thumbed low root note, 10th fret of the low E string, so that's a D note because that's our root note. So this is in bar 3. So after that pull off, 12, 10, just strum on muted strings. 10, 12, bring that fretted thumb note back in. Back to that double stop slide up. And then bar 4 of the figure. So we're just barring across the 12th fret, D, G, and B string against the low thumb note, 10th fret. And that essentially is repeated 3 times. He does little slight variations. Release the fretting and get more muted string accents in there. And then the last time, the first 2 bars are a bit of the same, and then he goes. So we're starting the same way, 12, 10 pull off, but so there's those upbeat accents on the C note. And this is either just the F, 10th fret of the G, or you could get a little of the 10th fret of the B in there too. And then right here, the last part of the figure, you're going 12, barring across the 12th fret of the G and B to the 10th fret of the G and B. And then we go to barring across the 10th fret of the D and the G, although it just sounds like the D. But he's really barring across both. And then he goes down to the D7 sharp 9 for the beginning of the verse. This lick comes from A Message to Love by Jimi Hendrix. All right, now let's take a look at some of the signature slow blues style licks that Stevie Ray would play that you can hear him do on songs like Texas Flood and Ain't Gonna Give Up on Love. Here we go. 2, 3. So I began with this lick. So what I'm doing is 5th fret of the A, 2nd fret to 5th fret of the D. And then I'm barring across the 3rd fret and hammering 3rd to 4th fret on the G string. And then alternating off of this 3rd fret of the 6th string that's fretted with the thumb. And then I did a trill here between 3rd, 4th fret of the G string. Then I move that figure up. Exactly the same thing. 10, 7, 10, 5th string to 4th string. That's barring across the 8th fret and hammering up to 9th on the G. Then back over the 1 I played. So that begins bend the 5th fret of the G string up a whole step, and I'm barring across the 3rd fret of the top 2 strings. Then on the way down, slight bend of the 6th fret of the B. So that, and then you go to 5th fret on the high E string. Then there's a quick hammer pull from 3rd to 4th fret on the high E string. So that's 5th fret, 3rd, 4th, 3rd, back to 6th fret of the B string. And you can see you got to reach with the ring finger. So after you go to 6th fret of the high E string, bend up a whole step, bring it back in vibrato. And then, so this is 3, 3, 5. Then I bring my index finger up to 5th fret of the G. Lean over 5th fret of the D. So the whole lick together. Right here I'm going to go to 8th fret of the B string, the root note G. In this vibrato, you can see I'm rocking the whole neck. And that 8th fret moves over to the high E string, bend up a whole step. 6th fret of the high E, back to 8th fret of the B. This is very Albert King-like. And right there, you can do that bend and get a little bit of the B string in there. And you could do it even more severely and get some of the G string in. Very Albert King-like. Now this lick here, where you go, sometimes Stevie will, instead of doing a hammer pull, 3rd, 4th, back to 3rd, he'll go straight down, 5th, 4th, and then pull off. So what I'm doing, quick pull off, and then back to that same 6-3 on the B string. And then so that's first part of it. 3, 6, 3 pull off to 5 on the G. Back to 3 on the B, 3 on the G. So after kind of replicate it on the G and the D string. So 5, 5, 3, then a quick pull off, 5, 3 on the D string. Now Stevie loves this lick, and he'll use it in a variety of different ways. Sometimes he'll go where you're going after the initial this 5th, and then hammering and pulling off between the 3rd and 4th fret. Then you just move that up a fret on the high E string. Another thing is to work in a finger pick on the high E string, because that's that Albert King sound. Because Albert picked with his fingers. And Stevie would do that as well to get that sharp sound. So right here. Another big one that Stevie would play is. So I'm just going on the 3rd fret between the high E and the B, and the high E is finger pick. So here, going between 3rd fret and 6th fret on the I string. And then you put a big index finger vibrato. Another slow blues lick Stevie would use in this key, he loved to go. Where you use a down pull for the bend and vibrato because it gives you a different sound. And another twist on that is to go where he slides his middle finger up and down. Another great place to use shapes like this where you is over the 5 chord, because this part of it, that's just like the D blues scale. So the blues scale based on the 5 chord. So Stevie liked to play things over the 5 where you would go. Or where I'm going, repeatedly hammering from the 3rd to the 5th fret, and then you put in the quick hammer pull, and then the pull-offs. And right here, I'm doing that quick pull back, pulling back from the 6th to the 5th fret on the G string, and then the rest of the pull-offs. So while we're on the subject of those little quick glisses, slides, and pull-offs, that's another thing he would use all the time. So I'm sliding up and down like that. So you need to make that move quickly. And then I'm going to go 5, 5, 5, 3. Like that. And I've been ending with this quick little pull-off lick. And one more idea is we can combine that quick glissing, sliding up and down on the G string, with a high root note on the E string. So I'm hybrid picking. I'm picking the D or the G string with the pick and the high E string with my finger. Stevie Ray Vaughan took from his many blues influences all the great blues guitar players that came before, like T-Bone Walker, Otis Rush, Johnny Winter, B.B. King, Albert King, Freddie King, and then he was also strongly influenced by Jimi Hendrix. And he took all these different influences and put them together into his own very distinct sound and style, a style that's great for guitar players to study. I hope this look into Stevie's playing has been useful to you. I'm Andy Aladort, and I'll see you next time.